Talk about beating a dead horse. A topic that has been rising for the past couple of weeks is GamerGate. God, GamerGate. For God's sake, we just want to push this freaking movement back into the grave because it's a dead horse. And yet somehow a lot of journalists keep on insisting to ride on this dead horse to an almost cruel and sadistic level. It is no longer a dead movement, it is an undead movement, and it's about as tiresome as the next zombie game. Next Final Out for GamerGate should consist of nothing but zombie Vivian, preferably lewd. The topic of GamerGate rise once again thanks to the first recorded case of death of swatting that happened in Wichita, Kansas. People being swatted thanks to a bunch of dumbasses betting towards each other, and surely enough, after giving out the wrong address, or intentionally the wrong address, an innocent man died. Is this really GamerGate's fault? Absolutely not. The people who swatted are not part of GamerGate, nor are they doing it in the name of GamerGate. So why the blame has to go to GamerGate? The reason is pretty simple. They just want a scapegoat. I am not really a member of it, but I am against anti-consumer practices. I am against game journalists lying to people's face, and yet somehow doing all of those things make me right-wing at best and a terrorist at worst. A bunch of interesting labels are being dropped to GamerGate supporters, like misogynists and racists, etc. Actually, ever since the PewDiePie debacle, it's not just the GamerGate supporters being lumped in, it's the entirety of gamers and YouTubers as well, fueling on this racism, sexism, and misogyny. As time went on, I always questioned those accusations because no matter how freaking awful the cesspool of comment sections can be, at least 90% of these people are not being genuine about it. Yes, that person who said that they want to kill you and murder your family is a comment you should not take seriously until they actually post your home address and the shirt that you're wearing. If they are being genuine and they're actual racists and misogynists and hackers who want to threaten people's lives, the kind of person I would be is a purist of the Aryan blood, and I would gladly skin myself for Hitler senpai. But I don't want to skin myself to Hitler senpai. That would absolutely hurt. Of course, I'm not a racist or a sexist or a misogynist. I don't think that all people of color are bad or that all women are terrible. I still think thoughts and dicks deserve gassing. And by gassing, I mean legitimate criticism. Don't conflate me. Actually, conflate me all you want, because no matter what I do, you're always going to spin the narrative that I'm gonna blow up the world. You're always going to think that your worldview is the most accurate thing in the world. You never consider the point of view of anyone who is friending your establishment. You're just gonna dump them on the ditch and feed them to the sharks. It gets rather tiresome, really. GamerGate does this, GamerGate does that, gamers do this, gamers do that. Jerking off to hentai equals supporting the president. When will these people learn that not all gamers and GamerGaters are actually horrible people that want to blow up the world? When do these people learn that journalists tend to write horrendous misinformation and propaganda, and that maybe, just maybe, we have a point in saying that game journalists are corrupt and that they are wrong in a lot of things? Never. Because that implies that these people want to be productive and kind to everyone. They don't want to be productive, and they are certainly not kind to everyone. You want to know what I love so much? You can call me misogynistic, anti-3D women exterminator all you want, which is in some ways accurate, but at least I'm just saying that I am, not that I am actually doing all of those things. Cue the news of anti-gamergaters and male feminists being caught as actual harassers. I swear to God, it keeps happening. Like, what is it with you people virtue signaling about respecting women and ended up not doing the very thing that you're preaching? It's almost like you're doing it only to hit on girls that happen to be feminists, which is like grooming yourself with expensive suit that you stole from the plebs to sexually attract Medusa. It keeps happening left and right, to the point where all you need to do is just to wait until the next harassment news pop up. Oh look, a male feminist who is anti-GamerGate and respecter of women turns out to be sexual harassers themselves. But PewDiePie draws Pepe and said the N-word? No. Bad PewDiePie. Bad gamers. Learn how to respect women and people of color, or I put my finger down to this woman's pussy without their consent. Smell it. At this point, I'm not surprised because it keeps happening. At this point, the best thing that I can do is to tell those who are uninformed about this issue so that they are well informed, and the information is, beware of male feminists as they are absolute freaking predators. Also, beware of the Jake Paulers and Logangs. If the Paul brothers are dicks, then their fans are absolute cunts, and YouTube will approve every single garbage thing that they do. Not PewDiePie though, he said the N-word. That's just bad. Moving on from that, I want to go into the topic of swatting again. Another reason for you to not associate GamerGate with such horrendous things as swatting is that for a racist, sexist, misogynistic movement influenced by the neo-Nazis against women and people of color in gaming, we surprisingly don't have that many criminals. If we're talking about the counts of criminals on the GamerGate side, the best one that I can think of was 2. Seattle for Truth, who is a conspiracy theorist GamerGate supporter and killed his dad for being a leftist, and Ethan Ralph, a GamerGate supporter who is jailed for assaulting law enforcers. The interesting thing about both of these people is that they're all very polarizing figures in the community to begin with, even amongst the GamerGate supporters. Ethan is universally hated among the community. He's like if Draco Malfoy was in Gryffindor, and is also about as equally cowardly. For some reason, I got blocked by him on Twitter despite having only one interaction that consists of me praising him for an article that he wrote 3 years ago. Either he was still relatively sane at that time, or I was just an idiot. And Seattle for Truth is part of GamerGate Revolt, which is basically a GamerGate extremist movement wanting the movement to do something more, somehow, not sure what. Other than those two, GamerGate has done nothing that can be considered terrorism. Do you want me to talk about that bomb threat being sent to Anita Sarkeesian when the threat literally said over 9,000 bombs? If that's the case, please do consider blowing it up, because that will not only blow up Anita, but also probably the entire town, including the bomber. Congratulations, Bomber! In the attempt of killing one person, you will also kill several thousand innocent people and a cat. Not only that, but warning Anita Sarkeesian before bombing the place, wouldn't that cause her to stay out of your target range? Seriously, if you think more and more about the bomb threat, it becomes more and more nonsensical. It's as if the bomber doesn't want Anita to get blown up. So what else is there? The only thing that's left is Sargon making videos criticizing feminism, and then you have Anita say that he's a garbage human being for making videos about her. So looks like from my observation, the worst crime that GamerGate has done is a bunch of YouTubers making videos about GamerGate that is not within the perspective of Anita Sarkeesian, the feminists, or the mainstream media. As in, you disagreed with us, therefore you're a monster. So what does all of this relate to the swatting that caused the death of an innocent man? Absolutely nothing. The people who did this are not supporters of GamerGate as far as I know, and yet GamerGate supporters are still to blame. Just check out some of these tweets.
P.S. This doxing or swatting trend is part of GamerGate's legacy along with Pepe in Kakistan, and it's all effed up. These trolls have always demonstrated that they enjoy being dangerous and are not to be brushed aside and silly. Maybe listen now?
Do you want to hear something 10 times more stale than GamerGate? Pepe and Kakistan. People have moved on from Pepe and Kakistan in favor of, I don't know, spaghetti?
Somebody touch my spaghetti!
Not really a political meme, but a meme that people love to share a lot more than those two things right now. I've said this many times in videos before that the only way for you to kill the two memes is making them stale and stop talking about them. Thankfully, people have managed to take notes and actually stop doing it, but here you are.
Watching GamerGate supporters pretend to be outraged by doxing and swatting now is infuriating.
That's right, you guys are just pretending to be outraged. You're not human in our eyes, you're a bunch of monsters who want to take over the world. So yes, GamerGate is once again filled with a bunch of monsters who are eating people in their sleep, and they're swatting people left and right every single time they disagree with them. Frankly, I don't trust anyone who engage with this level of emotional instability. There's no use arguing with these people the same way there is no use arguing with a brick wall, unless if you have a sledgehammer lying around. Oh, am I implying violence needs to be done through the thick heads of these people? At this moment, I really do not care how you demonize us or how you interpret my arguments. I'd rather say the worst things that I can possibly say, rather than catering into your demand of carefully choosing my words. Your take about GamerGate is about as valid as every CNN reportings of Pepe the Frog.
Donald Trump Jr., for example, he put this image on his Instagram account. It's a meme of Pepe, and for those of you who don't know, Pepe is a white nationalist symbol.
And you know what they say, never waste your time trying to explain who you are to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. An advice that is about as obvious as never fell to a spike trap, but people are still doing it. So it's worth bringing this up anywhere, anytime. Now a little bit of PSA. If I subtweet something on Twitter or YouTube, and by subtweet I mean taking screenshots of someone else's tweet, do not tag the people in there, because tagging them will cause me to get involved in a drama in which I ended up winning anyway, and that is if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you're going to get yourself involved into a drama that would probably end up having you wasting your time arguing with a brick wall, and since you're on Twitter space, you don't get to use a sledgehammer. So do yourself a favor and don't waste your time. Most of these people are just so thick in the head, convincing them is not worth the effort. So instead of convincing them, I will tell you guys about their opinions and why, in my opinion, they are wrong. And if you think that I am wrong, thankfully my head is not a brick wall. It's open to new ideas as long as you have arguments that are logical and make sense. Although knowing that Filthy Frank is not going to make any episode this year and any of the following year, I think a sledgehammer to the head will be suffice to end my suffering.